اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the first episode of another brand new series under SimplyRYQ, which is under TVQ.Academy, your borderless school of the Quran. And this brand new series is none other than SimplyRYQ Juz Amma. SimplyRYQ Juz Amma comes after we have already started publishing the SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Baqarah. We have finished recording it and we are in the middle of publishing it. And also it comes after the beginning of SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Fatiha. Al-Baqarah will come in 170 plus episodes. Surah Al-Fatiha comes in only 3 episodes. And this, by Allah's will come in 50 episodes, inshallah ta'ala. And the SimplyRYQ Juz Amma, as usual, comes and begins with an introduction. And the introduction of this will cover 4 items, main items. What is SimplyRYQ Juz Amma? 3 reasons you should join today, and who is the SimplyRYQ Juz Amma for, and what does one need in order to start. Now, what is SimplyRYQ Juz Amma? Before we narrow it down to SimplyRYQ Juz Amma, the SimplyRYQ itself stands for Simply Read Your Quran. Reading your Quran comes in under a framework. SimplyRYQ is actually a framework. While it means simply read your Quran, memorize, revise, and also tadabbur, internalize and understand. These are the main dimensions of the framework of the SimplyRYQ. Therefore, simply read your Quran. When we say SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Baqarah, it means simply read your Quran, focusing on Surah Al-Baqarah. When we say SimplyRYQ Surah Al-Fatiha, it means simply read your Quran, focusing on Surah Al-Fatiha. Now, SimplyRYQ Juz Amma therefore stands for simply read your Quran, focusing on Juz Amma. Alright? And the SimplyRYQ, whether it is Juz Amma or whether it is any other part of the Quran for that matter, applies practical and engaging methods in learning the Quran. Practical and engaging. This is very important, and therefore it requires engaging not only from my side. I'm already engaged. By doing whatever I'm doing, I'm already engaged. My aim now is to engage you, but I can only engage you when you are ready to be engaged. So engaging methods and learning. When we do that, we will see that it produces remarkable results. So when we have 2 parties who are on the same page and decide to achieve a goal, they are likely to achieve that goal. So now we are the 2 parties. I'm here at this side and you are there at that side. Are we on the same page? Do we agree to achieve a common goal? Therefore, we have to establish a common ground. Once we have the common ground, that means we are playing the same game. We are going to achieve the goal by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. SimplyRYQ Juz Amma, SimplyRYQ under any section for that matter, produces remarkable results. Walhamdulillah. After the definition of SimplyRYQ Juz Amma, 3 reasons you should join today. When we say joining, it does not mean that you have to subscribe or enroll into a class with TVQ.Academy. If you are watching this, and at the end of this episode, you decide to learn Juz Amma through this program while you are watching just through your device, you have already joined. We don't necessarily have to have any communication for that matter. We don't necessarily have to have any interaction. I mean, one-to-one on at personal level for that matter. So joining doesn't mean that you have to join the class. Even though you may want to join the class if you are interested, no problem at all. And provided also we have slots for that. Okay. So 3 reasons you should join this particular SimplyRYQ Juz Amma is because Juz Amma has the most famous surahs in the Quran. Yes, Surah Al-Fatiha is the most famous surah of all surahs. Surah Al-Fatiha is the most read surah of all surahs. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but for many it may not be as famous as the surahs there are in Juz Amma. And what makes the surahs of Juz Amma very famous is that some may know the verses of the surah, but they don't know that this surah is in Juz Amma. And this is understood when we know that Juz Amma, which comes only in 23 pages, contains 37 surahs of the Quran. The Quran comes in 114 surahs. 114 surahs. Of that 114, 37 of them are in Juz Amma. Okay. This 37 represent 32.46% of the number of surahs in the Quran. Well, what is surprising about that? Juz Amma is only 23 pages. The Quran has 604 pages. Out of 604 pages, 23 pages represent 3.81%. So imagine 3.81% of the Quran is Juz Amma, and that comes in 37 surah. This means the surahs of Juz Amma are short surahs. Qisar surah, as we all know. And this makes it famous, this makes it popular, this makes it often read. So yes, Surah Al-Fatiha is definitely the most famous. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but it is not more famous than Surah Al-Ikhlas, for example. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but it's not more famous than Surah Al-Falaq. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but it's not more famous than Surah An-Nas. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but it's not more famous than Surah Al-Duha. Surah Al-Baqarah is famous, but to many it is not more famous than Surah Al-A'la, Surah At-Tin, Surah Al-Bayyina, Surah Al-Zalzala, Al-Qari'ah, Surah Al-Takathur. Alright? And to prove that your kind self and many people out there, Muslims, are more likely to read from Juz Amma when they stand to pray, especially when they pray alone. We are more likely, even those who have memorized the Quran, when they pray alone, most of the time, the prescribed prayers, they are more likely to read from Juz Amma. Just observe. For the next 1 week from today, make it a point to pray at the masjid. Not alone, but with the jama'ah. And you will be surprised. So for subuh, for fajr prayers, for maghrib prayers, for isha prayers, this is when you can hear the imam reading, right? Most of the time, it will come from Juz Amma. And you will be surprised. Surah Al-Duha, number 1. Surah Al-Shams is in line. Surah Al-Tin, Surah Al-Sharh, Surah Al-Takathur. And you may hear Surah Al-Kafirun. And you may hear Surah Al-Ma'un. And majority from Juz Amma. If on Friday, you may hear Surah Al-A'la. You may hear Surah Al-A'la. So, if this is the case, as famous as these surahs are, as often as we may hear people reading it, that means we have no excuse not to know Juz Amma. It is not an obligation for you to master Juz Amma. You are only obliged as Muslim to know Surah Al-Fatiha and any other one surah in order to pray and establish your prayers on a daily basis. Even if you are going to repeat the same thing over and over and over. That is the minimum. That's the minimum requirement. That's the prerequisite. However, you will hear more than one surah, and the most famous surahs, the most frequent surahs you will hear will come from Juz Amma. Therefore, as a Muslim, practicing Muslim, devoted Muslim, we have no excuse not to know these surahs which are in Juz Amma. All right? It is not shame not to know it yesterday, simply because we didn't have awareness about it. It is not shame at all. But from today onwards, once we have this awareness and we are Muslims, then it becomes shame that we let go and we don't do anything about it. And because we don't want to retain that shame, we want to do something. That is where coming together to help one another comes in. All right? So these are some 3 reasons out of many you should join this program. And who is the SimplyRYQ Juz Amma for? Now, this program is for you if you are a student of TVQ.Academy. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily have to enroll, but if you benefit from SimplyRYQ, if you benefit from TVQ.Academy in any way, then you have to master Juz Amma. And as a matter of fact, every student who enrolls in TVQ.Academy have to go through Juz Amma. Even if they have memorized the Quran, they will still start with Juz Amma before they proceed anywhere else. Even if they have not memorized, but they are exposed, they have a good and strong exposure to Juz Amma, they will still have to read Juz Amma. All right? Of course, besides Surah Al-Fatiha. Therefore, new students who will enroll and read with me personally, definitely, Juz Amma is part of your prerequisite. It's a prerequisite that you cannot bypass. And from today onwards, every student who will have Juz Amma will have to refer to these videos, the episodes of this series to practice, because I will be reading and you're reading after me, and then practice with it and come to the class. So every student of TVQ.Academy, this program is mandatory for you. All right. And now, anyone who wants to learn Juz Amma from scratch, if you can recognize the Arabic letter, you can recognize the Arabic alphabet, you can identify this surah and that surah when the book is open for you, and from there you want to build on to learn Juz Amma, then this program is for you. Okay, some people believe that they know how to read, but in the actual fact, they don't know how to read. Some people have learned the surahs just by memorization, just by memorizing because they have been hearing it. For example, Surah Al-Duha. If you start Surah Al-Duha, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wal-Duha, wal-Layli idha saja, the random Muslim will be able to continue reading. But if you open the Quran to Surah Al-Sharh and ask that same person to tell you what surah is the surah above Surah Al-Sharh, they will not be able to tell. That is, even they are able to identify that Surah Al-Sharh is the one you are pointing at. So, knowing the Arabic alphabet is basic. And if you don't know the Arabic alphabet, you don't start with Juz Amma first. You start with the Arabic alphabet in TVQ.Academy, which we also have. And I will put the link in the description. And there is an intention also to fine-tune that in a better format in the future, inshallah ta'ala. So stay tuned for that. So anyone who wants to learn Juz Amma from scratch, this program is for you. Now, some of us have learned Juz Amma, but we are not confident, or probably the articulation, the reading, It's not there yet. If you want to brush it, if you want to enhance it, please join this program, even though you have experienced learning Juz Amma. Anyone who wants to memorize Juz Amma, this series does not intend, or is not intended for memorization, but the approach we are going to adopt and apply will help anyone who wants to memorize Juz Amma to achieve a significant percentage of that, if not 30 or 40% of memorizing the surahs of Juz Amma. But the main objective is not for memorization, because when we want to do memorization, we have to follow a more strict procedure, all right, which we have under TVQ.Academy SimplyRYQ framework. Nevertheless, this is also helpful if you want to memorize Juz Amma. Now, another group of people who need, or who this SimplyRYQ Juz Amma is for, are parents with children. The target here are not the parents as much as it is for the children. If you have babies, if you have infants, if you have small children, if you are expecting a baby, then you need this SimplyRYQ Juz Amma. And once you have children and you decide and agree to engage them with the SimplyRYQ Juz Amma, you will have to kick music out of the house. You will have to throw music out of the window. Music and the Quran cannot coexist peacefully. Even when they coexist, your Quran will be affected. Does it mean the Quran is inferior to music? No. I don't think anyone will mix clean water with contaminated water and drink. So the same thing applies. The Quran is clean, is pure, and music is filthy. Music is dirty. We are not going to go into, but music is calming, music brings happiness. Yeah, if music brings any happiness, the Quran brings more than that. If music does anything good, that goodness is in the Quran and beyond. So if you agree to engage your children with this, please make an arrangement and say goodbye to music for good, inshallah ta'ala. And next is, what does one need to start? What does one need to start? Of course, I'm not going to talk about the technical things you need. I mean, you will need a smartphone or a computer, a connection to the internet, for that matter. These are not the things I'm going to mention. What one needs in order to start is the intention to learn. The intention to learn and the hope for rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The intention to learn will oppose joining or watching or following just to observe, just to pass time. If you come here, or anyone for that matter, come here just to look at the who is that on the screen, just to observe, let alone just to find faults, then it is not worthwhile the time to spend. I will humbly encourage that, or advise such a person to spend the time in watching something that is more beneficial to him, that will bring him close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because following with no intention to learn and no hope for rewards from Allah is a waste of time. All right, so we do this as ibadah. So first things first, the intention to learn. And when one wants to learn, he cannot just learn while he sits doing nothing. We mentioned earlier, we apply practical and engaging methods, right? So we are going to engage one another. Therefore, we are going to interact. Therefore, I'm going to instruct. And you are also going to apply, inshallah ta'ala. The intention to learn. And next, hope for rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Put aside the probability of, I want to master this to teach. There are many people, or there are some people, who teach the Quran, but they don't know the Quran. So there are also programs, certificates, courses, where you are taught how to teach the Quran, but they don't necessarily know how to read the Quran. So if you just want to do this to teach, you can go and learn from there how to teach. But here we want to learn to get rewards from Allah, to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as my little knowledge is concerned, anyone who learns for the sake of Allah, to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to master the Quran, to read it the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to be read, he can teach it with no much effort. He can teach it. But as I mentioned, some can teach the Quran because they are trained to teach it, but they cannot read the Quran. All right. So the intention to learn and the hope for rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, readiness to dedicate time to learn the Quran every day. We mentioned that this episode, or this series rather, is going to take us for a 50-day long ride. 50-day long ride, that means every other day you need to make the time to sit down and open your Quran and listen and interact and improve every day for 50 days. So if one is not ready to dedicate that, then it will affect his readiness or intention to learn. Next is the readiness to interact and engage in learning. So once we have the intention to learn and we are ready to make the time, then when we sit, we will have to interact. We will have to respond in order to realize the results of the activities. And the patience to endure and extend an extended learning journey. 50 days is not a short time. 50 days is almost 2 months. If you spend, or anyone spend 50 days doing something, he will develop a new habit. And the patience, we talk about patience, when two people do something together for 2 weeks, within the 2 weeks, they are likely to have disagreement. Even though we are here virtually, I don't know you, you may not also not know me, and we may never cross paths, but we may still disagree. Even though it is virtual, we may still disagree. Disagreement should not affect our objective to learn. All right. So if I do something that, even though I don't know you, and I don't know who is watching this actually, I do something or I say something that someone somewhere somehow can resonate, and it may activate an emotion in him, and he takes it personal. He will still have to be patient and remember the reason why he is here. That is the patience, not only to endure the time and learn, also the patience to bear with the person we are learning with. All right? And so patience to endure an extended learning journey. There are programs where you will learn Juz Amma in 3 days, or maybe in one sitting. There are. Please do search, find it. If you are in a hurry and you really don't want to waste 50 days, then you can go and do that. All right. But here we want to do this, and by Allah's will, it will guarantee remarkable results, inshallah ta'ala. So this brings us to the end of today's items of the introduction to the SimplyRYQ Juz Amma series brought to you by TVQ.Academy, your borderless school of the Quran. Now, it's a time for assignment. Tomorrow, until tomorrow we will be starting to read right away from Juz Amma. We used to start with Surah Al-Fatiha within the same series. But now we have dedicated a series for Surah Al-Fatiha of 3 episodes. So your assignment after this, okay, what does this mean? We just agreed it's going to be engaging, and also it's going to be we intend to learn. And when we intend to learn, we have to bear with one another, and we have to appreciate to take action. So you want to learn, you have agreed to learn, then this is the assignment. Okay, the assignment is to practice Surah Al-Fatiha. Check the link to it in YouTube. Check the link to it to the playlist of Surah Al-Fatiha SimplyRYQ. It is preferred if you can follow all the 3 episodes. If you really have tight time, then the 3rd episode number 3, which is the demonstration to reading the surah. How you are going to read it there is the same way we are going to follow in the remainder of the surahs in Juz Amma, inshallah. So in our tomorrow episode, we will start with Surah An-Nas right away. And I will not be explaining the method, how we are going to do it. We will start right away. And today we are almost 30 minutes already. All right. So I hope today is the longest, longest. But if it happens to have longer episodes in future, why not? We are learning. So until tomorrow, I leave you in Allah's protection. See you in Jannah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم